Hello, my name is Edgar Ramirez, and I will be doing my presentation on the Rolling Stones. So, some background context. We are in post-World War II, and both England and the United States were having their baby boom, although England was in an economic depression at the time. So, many British teens faced difficulties finding work after finishing school, and this meant that they were unable to make ends meet. This in turn created two gangs to form, the Modernist and the Rockers. The Modernist is the picture on the right, and the Rockers are on the left. Modernists were described as having short hair, enough money to buy clothes and food, and were riding around in scooters on the streets. As for rockers, they were lower class teens that wore leather jackets, tight pants, and tight clothing, along with having greased back hair. The music at the time was the skiffle, which was Dixieland jazz with country blues, which was the inspiration for Beatles music and was around the time 2 years before the Rolling Stones were formed. More importantly, the American bluesmen were banned from performing in England until this ban was removed in the 1950s. Now we're going to get into the inspiration for the Rolling Stones. So as I mentioned earlier, the American bluesmen were finally allowed to perform in England, which then created an expansion of the genre among the British. So artists like Muddy Waters, the Chris Barber Band, Blues Incorporated helped to push skiffle out and introduce the blues. It was also this incorporation that the British were introduced to the first electric guitar back in 1958. Along with the blues, American rockabilly was also very popular among the British, which is where Richards, Jagger, and Jones, along with the Beatles, were able to enjoy bands such as Buddy Holly. And more importantly, other inspirational artists for the Rolling Stones were Little Richards, Elvis Presley, Jerry Lee Lewis, Robert Johnson, Chuck Berry, and Bo Diddley. Now, as for the instrumentation, they were trying to model the Chicago blues, so they carried the bass guitar, piano, drum kit, and a harmonica player. So Mick Jagger actually did both. He was both the lead singer and the harmonica player for the band. Keith Richards was bass guitar, Brian Jones was guitar, Charlie Watts was drums until he was later replaced by Tony Chapman, and Ian Stewart, who was their piano player until he was asked by their longtime manager Andrew Loach Oldham, to become a roadie for the band. Now getting into the early success or the early years of the Rolling Stones. The band name actually came from Muddy Waters' song titled The Rolling Stone, appropriately named. And this band's name then allowed them to debut at the Marquee Club in London with one of the bands called Blues Incorporated, which we heard about earlier. They were mostly playing covers at the time of American blues artists such as Chuck Berry, Muddy Waters, Slim Harpo, and Jimmy Reed. And they had the opportunity to record at Chess Record Studios, where they ran into Chuck Berry and met Muddy Waters while they were recording this. So during this time of doing the American covers, they actually had the opportunity to perform on British television on September of 1963. And from there, they then hit the number 21 on the British singles charts with Chuck Berry's cover of Come On. And they were then introduced, or rather they met the Beatles, where they gave them a song called I Want to Be Your Man, and that led them to then move up into the top 10 listing. Finally, they did a cover of Buddy Holly's Not Fade Away, which helped them reach the number 3 listing of the top 10. This all in turn allowed more people to listen to them and made them it created 100,000 advanced orders of their first album, which is pretty amazing at the time. All right, as now for the clothing. So when the Stones hired their manager Andrew Oldham, they wanted to be different from the Beatles. So their manager wanted to go for raunchy, crude, and offensive. Now, in their first debut appearance on the British TV show Thank Your Lucky Stars on 1963, they debuted with checkered suits and matching ties, which can be seen on the top picture. After this performance, Keith Richards was very angry at their manager for basically kind of selling out early, saying that they were only dressed like that to get the studio records attention. So it was until after this performance that they changed their image because of Richards, and so they decided to not wear any more matching clothes, to deem their long hair, and to go with an unclean appearance. Now that they had their stardom and their advanced orders, they were asked to tour in the U.S. So they made their first television appearance on the U.S. on Dean Martin's show, which was widely criticized after the performance, or rather during the performance. Dean Martin said a lot of ugly things about the band, let's say, and it did not bode well for their tour. The appearance basically set a tone for what the rest of the tour would look like, and caused basically them to play to empty stadiums. So after this, they come back for a while, and they create a couple more songs, or do a couple more covers, and they are called out to do a second visit to the US. So now this time they appeared on the widely popularized Ed Sullivan Show, and they did this on October 1964. So days after the show, or after their performance, Ed received lots of mail from both sides of those that loved and hated it. As you can guess, teens enjoyed it, and the baby boomers actually complained a lot. But their crowd sizes of their shows grew exponentially, to the point where they can no longer contain the crowds in their performances. And now we get to the final part of this presentation, which is how did we get here? So the band that we know today, the Rolling Stones, actually became the Rolling Stones now because of the music that we know. And they did this by what's now widely known story, which was that the manager locked Mick Jagger and Keith Richards in a room and didn't allow them to eat any dinner until they had written a song. So Oldham basically, like I said, locked the room, went to go eat dinner with his mother, and when he came back, he was met by Keith Richards and Mick Jagger, who were very frustrated and very, very hungry, where they had actually written a song. So it was a ballad, but Mick Jagger later goes on to say that because of Oldham, it helped create their songwriting career, which in turn, as we know now, allowed them to create some of their widely recognized singles, such as Satisfaction, Under My Thumb, Paint It Black, and Stupid Girl. So, like I said before, it just basically allowed them to create their own saga as music giants in the industries for many years to come. And that's my presentation for the Rolling Stones. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.